There are expected to be long lines this morning in Jackson, Mississippi, as people wait desperately for a basic human necessity. We're talking about water. We all take that for granted. This is day 5 of a growing crisis that has forced schools and businesses to close. Now, residents are now being told to shower with your mouth closed because the water is not safe. Elise Preston is her name. She's in Jackson with more on the story. Elise, listen, this has nothing to do with the story, but I'm having a question in the studio. Do you shower with your mouth open in the first place? Good morning, Elise.
No, I do. Good morning to you, Gail. No, I do not. And it is definitely not advised here. You see their trucks behind me. 600 National Guard members have been deployed here to Jackson to help distribute water to families here during this crisis. We were here at this mega site yesterday and watched them pass out nearly 5,000 cases of water to 2,500 families.
When we caught up with Sharon Dunson, she had not had usable water in her home for more than a week.
What has that been like?
It has been terrible.
Like Dunson, many in Jackson, Mississippi are still without reliable drinking water, despite crews installing an emergency pump at the city's deteriorating water treatment facility.
It smells like sewer.
The water in 53-year-old Terry White's home is no good. She's concerned for herself and her 5-year-old grandson.
I can't flush the toilet.
How does this all make you feel?
Well, me, it makes me angry. We have low running water to where we can't do nothing.
It's frustrating. It's wrong. And it needs to be fixed. We appreciate you doing it.
Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves says the focus in the short term is distributing as much water as possible to residents in need.
I just wanted to help any way that we can.
Enlisting the help of the state's National Guard.
This is one of 7 mega sites where the National Guard is handing out 2 cases of water per adult.
But we don't have the built-in revenue that we need to keep the system maintained.
Anna Wolf has been covering the water crisis for Mississippi Today, a nonprofit news site.
And we've got failing pumps. So that's the mechanism that actually pumps the water out of the reservoir, which is where we get our water from, and puts it out to customers. The other is the treatment mechanism. So, if the water's not treated, we can't push it out.
Part of the reason Jackson doesn't have the funds is because of a dwindling tax base that goes back to the latter half of the last century, when the city saw an exodus of white residents during integration.
And as our population has declined, we haven't had the tax base necessary to keep up this really large system.
Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ha Rekah Kodash Ma'amat. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and the elders. Double honors to my elder as well, Aharawan Ben Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. And salutations to the fellow Akim, our wife and the children that believe in truth and sincerity. It's your brother, I thank y'all back to another lesson. And Yahara Tazah is edifying. And as you heard a little snippet of the video I played prior to me speaking, all right, just the and we go be going into just a little quick news update pertaining to the Mississippi water crisis, all right, in Jackson, Mississippi, as they're just pretty much creating a new norm, all right, as we're in the times of elections and stuff like that, while at the same time they're creating a new normal, all right, just as they speak on EMPs and things like that. So when these things come, or if these things are presented, all right, not by way of their own, all right, but by way of the enemy or other nations, all right, like Russia or China, all right, it's been thrown out there, all right, they're putting it out there, all right, they're creating a new norm for the people, all right, because not only in Jackson, Mississippi, you have water crisis, you having it throughout America, all right, throughout Babylon, all right. Just last week we had a full water advisory here in Jacksonville, Florida, all right. So just water advisories, all right. You can see it's just 5 days ago, a week ago, a day ago, all right. A day ago they're talking in Baltimore, all right. We know about the Flint crisis that happened about a year or so ago, pertaining to their water crisis and how they had lead and children and people were dying, all right, and ultimately how it's subject to the Israelite community, all right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those of the speckled bird who may look like the other nations but bear the same spirit as such, all right, is subjugated to you, all right. This is this physical counterpart, the spiritual demon Satan, Esau, Edom. This is a part of his sinister plan, all right, his agenda pertaining to his new world order, as well as condensing the amount of people on the earth, all right, by way of what the Georgia Guidestones and how they wanted a certain amount of people on the earth, all right, depopulation plan, all right. One of the first scriptures I want to get is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand, right? You know, it is, according to Job 9 and 24, this earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right, so by this diabolical demon being the Lord's whipping stick, the Lord is allowing him to do and chasten his people. All right, that's why we cry aloud, we spare none of our people pertaining to this truth. All right, to try to get our people to subscribe to their true heritage, their true nationality, their true identity. All right, because we're in the times of judgment, and where the Lord is going to let this damn devil get a hold of the wicked people of our nation. All right, 2/3 of our people. All right, so this is the epitome of Jacob's trouble, as it's not going to just be one specific thing. All right, it's going to be variations of just judgment. All right, diversity when it comes to judgment, when it comes to, you know, the Lord's judgment, you know, being instilled upon the earth. All right, and it's going to be great. All right, like none ever before, as the scriptures say. And this is Jeremiah 30 and 7. All right, even down to the water you drink and bathe with. All right, there's people that are not able to do that right now. All right, so what happens if that comes to a city near you? All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Right, he shall be saved out of it. Right. And then they have things like Rex 84. You know, they have these executive orders that are in place to prevent you from trying to clean the water yourself, or capturing rainwater. You capture enough of it, you go into jail. All right. You know, farm your own crops and create your own, you know, have your own vegetation and stuff. All right, to where you can assure yourself a life, right? You know, herbs, you know, things to consume ultimately. All right, for the flesh. All right, to prolong your days. All right, but the day is great. None is like it. It's time of Jacob's trouble, and we're in Jacob's trouble. All right, but he that's gonna be saved out of Jacob's trouble is the elect. All right, the 1/3 men, women, and children. As I mentioned, the 2/3 of our people that are wicked, that are not going to subscribe to this truth, that are continue to be blinded by the sorcery of this damn devil Esau. All right, they're not going to be saved out of it. All right, but that he ultimately represents the elect. All right, so we're in the time of Jacob's trouble, to where they're ultimately they're weaponizing water. All right, economic strangulation. All right, this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right, we're not ignorant of his devices. All right, you know, so ultimately this is warfare at its finest. I want to bring out an article. The water crisis in Jackson follows years of failure to fix an aging system. All right, so this is proof of how they've purposely neglected the system. All right, even you know, and this is why the heathen, all right, and 2/3 of our people have to be destroyed, man, because they run this rat race and they run it in vain. All right, to be CEOs and to be you know, to hold certain positions. All right, and ultimately when they get these positions, they don't do right by the people. All right, the city of Jackson was already struggling with the deteriorating water system long before the latest rains cut off access to safe drinking water for more than 150,000 people in Mississippi's capital. For years, residents of the majority black city have endured everything from service disruptions and recurring boil water advisories to concerns over contaminations like lead and E. coli bacteria, thanks to failures to upgrade Jackson's aging infrastructure, man. Right, just killing off the people. All right, and before I start speaking, if you heard the snippet of the video I played prior, all right, it spoke on what? all right, since a white exodus, all right, so-called white, right, since an Edomite exodus in Jackson, Mississippi in the times of segregation, all right, half a century ago, all right, roughly about 50 years, all right, roughly about half a century, all right, the 50s and 60s, right, when times of segregation were going on, Edomites, they left, all right, they didn't want to live amongst Jake, all right, so they left them and they let it deteriorate. So since then, these systems have been failing. These systems have not been up to date, as well as year to year, as far as the tax-paying dollars and the things that the money that's supposed to be subjected to these areas, all right, is not enough, all right, to ultimately fulfill and do the job. Or you have Jake, 2/3 Jake, who made it, all right, in politics, right, running the rat race, all right. Or you have Esau still in politics in these certain places, and the money don't get dispersed accordingly, all right. So it takes a effect on the people, all right. It's a systematic design, all right, systematic quote unquote racism, all right, which I don't like to use that term, but it's more of an economic strangulation, all right. Esau, you know, he don't want to deal with you, all right, so he take his economy with him, all right, and leave you to fend for yourself, all right. So boil water advisories, and we just showed you, we showed you how it's going on throughout all Babylon, different cities in Babylon, all right. It's gonna be the new norm, all right. Weaponizing water, all right. You know, we saw that in Baltimore just as well as is going on in Jackson, Mississippi, all right. This is another article called ctmirror.org, partner content. Mississippi water crisis is racism to the up 10th degree, residents say. Much of Jackson's water failures have been chalked up to general divestment in the city, exacerbated by a shrinking population and tax base, right? And hey, the population is not shrinking, all right? It's probably growing, all right, as we are the majority. We're not the minority in this society, all right, as they love to label us to be, all right? We're the majority, all right? But as we're the majority, Esau, all right, he knows he's the minority, all right? So when Esau say we outnumbered when it comes to population, but we dictate and control economical power, man. You know, again, Job 9:24, the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, all right? He's in his blessing right now, all right? So, even though he's outnumbered, he's in his rulership, all right? But he's at the end of it. The water crisis that has left residents of Jackson, Mississippi struggling to bathe, cook, and flush their toilets has been decades in the making. For years, Jackson mayor has asked for financial assistance from the state government to alleviate the city's infrastructure needs. Local organizers, rather than wait on the government, have developed their own networks to distribute bottled water and help neighbors pay for hotel rooms and food. One community organization, the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition, formed months ago in response to ongoing problems with water infrastructure when an aging water treatment plant failed earlier this week, causing more than 160,000 residents in the capital city to have little to no water pressure. The coalition was ready to mobilize resources for residents, but the grassroots effort by Jacksonians are short-term and reliant on donations and volunteers. We're putting band-aids on gunshot wounds to try to hold the pressure in until someone more trained and with better care comes along. Right, it's just to exhaust resources, all right, to where, you go need the government, all right? Woe to them who run to Egypt for help, all right? They declared a state of emergency. This is one of the points I wanted to make. The crisis in Jackson underscores a growing risk to black communities in the South that are burdened by failing water systems and frequent boil water notices, right? You know, and this is ultimately the social construct that they're trying to create for the inner cities, all right? The Jake neighborhoods in Babylon that involve you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans on how they're getting ready to weaponize water, all right? You know, ultimately how they take their face off of it, all right? Well, they try, all right? Because we're not ignorant to Satan's devices. We brought out the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11, all right? They played the ventriloquist, all right? You know, they leave, you know, they spoke about the Edomite Exodus, all right? They don't want to live amongst Jake, so they try to take away the resources from amongst Jake and leave them in conditions in ghettos and societies to where it's unbearable to live in, to ultimately where you have to come running back to the system, all right? It's that Hegelian dialect, the order out of chaos, man. This devil trick is old.